So let's get started. There are currently 6 players who I've identified as top targets for Miami in this 2024 recruiting class. I had a chance to watch all 6 of them in action this past weekend. 3 of them played at the Nike EYBL event in Atlanta, and then other 3 played at the Adidas 3SSB event session in Iowa. The other session that went on is the Under Armour Association that was played in Arizona. So there were plenty of prospects all across the country, and Miami was at all 3 events. With these 3 at the Nike event, Jim Larinaga was on hand to watch Miami native Marcus Allen in action. I watched all 4 of his games. There's a highlight video on the channel from all 4 of his games if you want to watch that, where you could see all of his baskets that he made, as well as some other impressive plays. And also I spoke with Marcus just recently, did a VIP article on the website, so definitely check that out if you haven't read it, where he talks about Miami. And also he just made the transition last year to play at Compass Prep. He's a guy from Norland, starred there, but last year he moved to Arizona to play there for a year, and he talked about that being a big learning experience. But this past weekend, watching Marcus in action, I watched him last year, but I definitely think he's already improved from a year ago. He's a guy with great length, 6'6". You can understand why Miami has made him a top priority, not just because of where he's from, but because of the attributes he possesses. Great length, which he uses to his advantage on both ends of the court. Offensively, he's always driving to the basket. He's shooting over smaller defenders. He can finish at the rim, a very good dunker as well. And then defensively, I think it's great too, because he uses his length to his advantage. He can switch 1 through 5. I really like him in a small ball lineup. If you're looking at him projecting to the next level, he could play that 4 spot. I think he's going to continue to get bigger. I think rebounding, he continue to do better at that. And I think he's just scoring the ball at very impressive rates in terms of what he's able to do with the mid-range game. His 3-point shot is still coming along, but I just really like what he does. Gets out in transition, like I said, finishes at the rim, shoots over defenders. And you just don't see the kind of defense that he possesses at the AAU level on these summer circuits. And he definitely does. He'll guard his man. I watch him on some help side defense stuff. He's always looking to do the right thing defensively, which is great to see. It's a great starting point. It's certainly an important part of a player moving forward in their careers, but I think it's going to be something that really sets him apart, because I think he can be a very good defender at the next level, as well as what he can do offensively. So Coach Larinaga was there to watch Marcus in action quite a bit at the event there, as well as a number of other coaches who would like to add Marcus to their recruiting class. Marcus talked about all of these schools that have been recruiting him hard in that article that I mentioned. I will link it below, because I think you guys would find that interesting and what he had to say. He's certainly an intriguing player. And 2 other guys at the Nike EYBL event that I want to mention, because I think both of those guys really impressed. Once again, all 6 of these guys, you understand why Miami likes them, why other schools do, why they're rated currently highly right now in their class. And the other 2 guys are both guards. They actually played each other in a game in one of the 4 games that they played, and that's Jaden Mustoff out of North Carolina, and then also Jaleel Bethea out of Pennsylvania. Both those guys scored at will. Both of them different players. Let's start with Jaden. His dad played in the NBA. Gerard played in the NBA there, former first-round draft pick of the Knicks. And with Jaden, he only played in 3 games. He didn't play in that final game, but he's just a very confident ball handler. He can play off the ball at about 6'4". He can handle the ball. I think he does very good with ball screens, either getting his own shot, as he averaged 20 points a game at the event. And also, I think he looks for his teammates as well. He's got good size. He could knock down threes. He had a successful junior campaign there in high school where he led his team to the state championship game. And Jaden's already mentioned Miami is his final 5 schools that he's looking at right now: Indiana, Florida State, North Carolina State, as well as Virginia Tech, round out his top 5. Certainly Miami will like to have him. And with Jaleel Bethea, he's definitely a little bit different than Jaden. He's a guy that penetrates to the rim really well, a natural scorer. I think he's more of the shooting guard type, whereas Jaden can handle the ball a little bit better at this point. But Jaleel does a great job of scoring. Like I said, he gets to the free throw line. I really liked that this past weekend. He also can knock down shots at the mid-range, and then his driving ability. He's got great athleticism as well. He's a guy from Pennsylvania, and anytime a Pennsylvania prospect pops up, certainly you're always worried, or at least aware of what Villanova is doing. Villanova has offered, and Bethea is scheduled to take an unofficial visit there. Certainly the Wildcats will be a factor in his recruitment, and we'll just pay attention to how everything goes for him moving forward. And there were 3 players who played in Iowa with the Adidas circuit there. 3 guys that you understand, once again, why Miami's after these guys. VJ Edgecombe, also Rakese Passmore, 2 guard players that I really like, and you can understand why. But the guy who I was most impressed with of all of the players Miami's looking at, and that's Connie Roos. Connie was a guy that's about 6'7", 6'8", plays that power forward spot. It's interesting to watching him. He fills it up. He can score, rebound, assist, has an all-around game. He's a guy that when you watch him, you think a little bit about Jordan Miller, the way Jordan fit in at Miami. And I hate making player comparisons, but it just was hard not to look at Connie with what he's able to do as a versatile player. He also wears number 11 like Jordan did. He also wears the colorful shoes like Jordan did. Also the tank top, the compression shirt underneath. So, and looks similar. Again, he's right-handed. Jordan's left-handed, but the comparisons are there. And the bottom line is, Roos definitely fills it up. He had a really productive game in the first day, 26 points, 20 after halftime, but he made the game-winning turnaround shot from about 15 feet out. And he really impressed a lot of people because he got there in the middle of the first half with flight problems, but he got to Iowa. He made it. He got in, didn't do any warm-ups or anything like that, and then just filled it up. And that continued in the second day, which is when I watched him a couple of times. So, and I know Miami was watching him as well. They came away impressed. And certainly he's a guy that I think Miami would love to have in the class. It's certainly a lot of other schools would like to have him as well. And then moving right along, Rakese Passmore, did an update with him recently. More offers are coming in for Rakese, a really explosive guy, listed as a small forward on our database. I think he's more of a shooting guard type. I think he handles the ball well. He's got great athleticism, can shoot threes. The athleticism was on display with some really impressive dunks. Stay tuned to the channel. I'll be posting video highlights of him, as well as some other players that I'm mentioning in this video. Passmore picked up 4 offers after the tournament. Florida State is now involved, as well as Mississippi St. John's, as well as Georgia Tech. Pay attention to his recruitment. Passmore said he likes Miami when I talked to him in a recent article that I posted on the website. But on May 1st, he's planning at this current time to release a top 10 school. So pay attention if Miami's on there. Pay attention to see if he visits Miami. That will be big in terms of Miami's pursuit of him. And then also with VJ Edgecombe, another guy that Miami watched there in Iowa, a guy that I really like his driving ability, a really fluid guy that can get to the rim. He's got good size, good ball handling ability as well. And I think all of these guards have to look at what Miami's been recently, not just this past year or with Isaiah Wong moving on, but Miami's always had pretty good guard play ever since Jim Larrañaga took over. And really, if you want to date back before that, but under Larrañaga, the guards are able to play. And I know when I talked to Rakese about that, he really notices it. Miami allows their players to play with freedom. Also, he's a big fan of Anthony Edwards of the Timberwolves, and certainly a guy that can score at the NBA level. So again, pay attention to how the guards might look at Miami as a team that maybe they could see themselves fitting in at. Okay, now let's get into the question that I see the most when it comes to Miami basketball recruiting, whether it's on social media, on the Inside the U message boards, or on this channel. And it is, does Miami have a real chance, a real shot at landing the Boozer twins? If you're not familiar with these guys, they both play at nearby Columbus High School. They're the sons of former NBA All-Star Carlos Boozer, who played at Duke. I remember watching him win a national title with the Blue Devils when I was a student. Cameron Boozer is the #1 ranked player in the 2025 class, a 6'9" power forward, ultra productive, ultra talented, had a 40-point game with the Knight Riders Elite at the Nike EYBL event in Georgia, helped lead the team to a 5-0 record, averaged 28 points a game, 13 rebounds. And when you watch his highlights on this channel from that 40-point game, you can really see exactly what he's bringing to the table each and every time he steps foot on the floor. He's a guy that can score at the rim, knock down mid-range jumpers on pick and roll or pick and pop situations, and he can also knock down three-pointers. One of the things I really like about his offensive game is his ability to make free throws at a high rate. He's not a guy that you can just foul and put at the line and hope for the best. He's a guy that will drill his free throw attempts. So he's certainly highly productive on offense. Defensively, Also, very impressive. Block shots, get steals. He can switch 1 through 5. He does a very good job with his balance and footwork on the defensive end. And that's what makes him an overall top player in the class at this current time. Certainly, Miami would love to have him. Every program in the country would love to add Cameron Boozer. Caden Boozer is a 6'3" guard who I absolutely love watching play. Every time I've had a chance to watch him, I really enjoy it because he can play on the ball, as a point guard or off the ball if you want to make him more of a shooting guard that can score. But the reason why I really like him is because he has a potential to post a triple-double every time out there. He has great control, great poise of the game. He averaged 13 points. He led the league, the session there at the 16U level with nine assists per game at the event in Georgia to go with nearly 7 rebounds. And so each and every time out, he's nearly putting up a triple-double, just really highly productive. Another guy that's very talented, athletic. He can make plays. And once again, I think some people might like him off the ball, but I really like when he runs point and is in control of the offense. So both players, extremely impressive players. So does Miami have a chance at the Boozer Twins? Here's what I'll say. Certainly, Duke is the program to beat. The Miami staff understands that Duke's going to be tough to beat. Carlos Boozer was a star there, which certainly makes things difficult from Miami's standpoint. Certainly, also, Duke is a prestigious program. It's always difficult for a program like Miami, even though they're hot right now, a Final Four team with a lot of excitement around their program. It's tough to beat a program like Duke on a head-to-head recruiting battle. But here's what I'll say. The Miami staff certainly knows that Duke is the toughest team to beat in this recruitment. They know that it's going to be an uphill battle, but they also know they're getting some positive responses in terms of that the Twins do like Jim Larrañaga as a coach, and they also like the family atmosphere around the program. Both of the players had a chance to take an unofficial visit to the Miami campus on Easter weekend. It was the first time that they've been on campus since they were on campus for Miami's big win over Duke, where the Twins sat behind the Duke bench about 7 rows up at the Watsco Center. So it was just good that they were on campus, and we will see. Certainly, once again, it's an uphill battle. Duke is the team to beat. Everyone understands that. And with these two guys being from South Florida, it reminded me of a few other guys in South Florida, some highly regarded guys in South Florida that didn't end up at Miami, but one that did. Let's start with the two big-time guys, because this is where I think these guys, the Twins, really fall in line, and that's in 2019 with Vernon Carey. Everyone knows he went to Duke. His father was a star football player at Miami, and I just never felt like Vernon was seriously considering Miami, although he definitely kept them in contention. At that point in time, I thought it was a real uphill battle for Miami, a real long shot at the time, even though his father was there and certainly, with Vernon playing in nearby university school there. So there was that. And then also, it really takes me back to 2010 with Brandon Knight, who went to Kentucky. Brandon Knight was a guy that I love watching play at the high school level. He did everything. He did everything really well. He put up big-time performances each and every time out, and he went to Kentucky. Miami at that point with their program was still on the up and coming, and they were still trying to get their footing. They weren't making it to the NCAA tournament on a regular basis, or certainly were not having any deep runs. And adding a guy like Brandon, who was arguably the best high school player in the country in his recruiting class, was going to be a tough task. And I never really felt like Brandon seriously considered Miami, although staying home, like with Vernon, staying home is appealing to some extent. Both Vernon Carey and Brandon Knight were top 10 players in the recruiting class. Kenny Boynton was a highly regarded guy, a top 20 guy in 2009. Once again, he went to Florida, and he wasn't a guy that I thought was going to go to Miami at any point. But Miami did land a highly productive, highly talented McDonald's All-American recently from Miami, went to Norland High School in 2016, and that was DeJuan Hernandez at the time, DeJuan Hewell. DeJuan was more in the top 20, top 30 range, so that's why I don't really put him in the category as the Boozer Twins, particularly with Cameron or Vernon Carey or Brandon Knight. But certainly it was a good thing for Miami to land DeJuan. A McDonald's All-American just doesn't happen very often at Miami, but it just had a different feel. He didn't have that big-time national attention on him locally. He was a huge deal because of what he had done at the state tournament level. And once again, everybody knew about DeJuan coming up, and certainly it was a great recruiting win for Miami at that time. I just think that this one with the Boozer Twins is going to be a little bit different. And we will see how it all plays out, if they can get on campus more and just continue to go through the process, or if they're going to make the early commitment to Duke, whatever it might be. Definitely stay tuned, and definitely, pay attention to the website as well as the channel. And now I'm finally excited to release the name that I think Miami fans should pay attention to. And he's someone that Miami is currently on the outside looking in, have not officially offered, and he already has a top 6. So can Miami get involved with this player? And the player is Sir Muhammad. He's a 6'6" guard out of Charlotte, North Carolina. If you're not familiar with him quite yet, he is another guy, son of an NBA player, Nazir Muhammad. With Sir and Washington, he's currently listed as a small forward on the 24/7 Sports profile. Some people like him at shooting guard. When I watched him this past weekend playing for Team Curry at the Under Armour Association event in Arizona, he was running point, and I like him at point guard. Big size. He's once again a guy that can fill it up. He scores the ball. He can rebound, assist. I really like his passing ability. He can drive, knock down threes. I like his overall game. Once again, Miami's outside looking in. He already announced a top 6. So can Miami offer? Can they get involved with his recruitment? We will see. But I think Miami would certainly like to have him. I think he would be a good fit at Miami anytime you're looking at the guard position. Once again, he's certainly someone that I think would fit in well at Miami. So, and the ACC. The schools right now, his top 6 are Marquette, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Stanford, Villanova, and Virginia Tech. Those are the 6 that he's focused on. Those schools have been recruiting him longer. So we will see if Miami even gets involved, if they offer, if they like it, if they're going to pursue it, or if they already feel like they're behind those other 6, or maybe he's already moved on to the next stage in his recruiting process. Maybe Sir is already really just focusing on those 6, so it doesn't matter which school comes along after. But definitely just pay attention to him, watch these highlights and see what you like about him. Drop in the comments below if you like Sir, what you think about the Boozer twins. Also, 6 Miami targets that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Let me know what you think of them. If you'd like to hear more about them, if you want to see videos of these guys, I will post them to the channel, but definitely stay tuned because I already have plans in place to do some of them. And also, there's plenty more prospects that I did not talk about that I had a chance to watch that Miami has offered. And if you're new to basketball recruiting, it is nothing like football recruiting, where a lot of schools just throw out a bunch of offers in the football recruiting process. Over 200 offers typically go out for any school. With basketball, regardless of where players are ranked, schools really try to focus on guys that they have a shot with before they even open things up. So maybe if you see a guy ranked over the top, outside the top 100, maybe you're thinking, why did they offer him? And why didn't they offer these top 25 guys? It's because just on fit, or they just didn't think that they had a chance, whatever it might be. It's just a little bit different. Things are definitely a lot more isolated. So when an offer goes out by a school, particularly with Miami, they definitely either feel like they really think he'd be a great fit for the program, and they might think that he already has some sort of level of interest. They might feel like they've got at least somewhat of a shot to get him for whatever reason. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to the offers. Visits will continue to happen, so pay attention to that as these top 5s and top 10s go out, and I'll definitely have more updates on the website. But if you like this video, maybe I'll do another one. Definitely hit the like button, drop in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Miami basketball, its future, and this 2024 recruiting class. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day, and take care.